The scene unfolds as Renton awakens with a start, his eyes darting around the room until they settle on his girlfriend, peacefully asleep beside him. He reaches out and tenderly caresses her face and shoulders, his touch revealing a small, inconspicuous implant on her arm. The tranquil moment is shattered as the bedroom door is violently kicked open, and two imposing figures burst in, seizing Renton and dragging him from the room. In the ensuing struggle, Renton fights desperately to break free, but his efforts are in vain as he is pulled across the floor. In a desperate escape bid, he stumbles and tumbles down the stairs, the sickening sound of his head striking the wall echoing through the air. Reawakening back in his bed, Renton jumps up with a gasp, remembering everything that had happened. Although he assumes it is a dream at first, three men burst in with masks over their heads, and the scene unfolds just as it had before. Confused by what was happening, Renton lets the men take him. Dragging him and his girlfriend Hannah to the basement, they tie them up to a chair. Once they're both secured, the leader of the group introduces himself as father, and then points at two of the men beside him, calling them brother and Sonny. His expression is hidden behind the mask. Father points at the dead man on the floor and accuses Renton of killing their cousin with his clever trap. Brother inquires about Renton's script, but father intervenes calmly, stating that there's no need to rush. He proposes that they all grab something to eat, considering they haven't had a meal in 2 days. Giving Renton a 5-minute ultimatum to produce the script, father then joins the rest of the group in the kitchen. Left alone, Renton tells Hannah that she may have been followed and attempts to liberate himself using a pair of scissors left on the desk. After freeing his hands and legs, Renton unties Hannah and cautiously secures the workshop door. While Renton examines the man on the ground, Hannah attempts to approach a machine in the corner of the room, but Renton quickly intervenes, cautioning her that it's rigged with 20,000 volts. Upon her inquiry, he elucidates that it was the ARQ and informs her that the men were attempting to steal it. However, Hannah expresses skepticism, believing them to be merely desperate and hungry individuals like many others out there. Renton, however, is convinced that Taurus, the company he used to work for and which had created the machine, was attempting to reclaim it. Taken aback, she questions him about whether he stole the machine, but he reassures her that he was the one who constructed it. He explains that it was a generator, but hesitates to disclose the whole truth. Seizing a weapon, he ventures out to confront them, only to be gravely injured in the ensuing struggle. Renton wakes up in his bed once more, gasping for air. Understanding that he is trapped in a time loop created by the ARQ, he urgently urges Hannah to wake up, but they are once again ambushed by the mysterious men and restrained in the basement. Aware of the impending events, he tries to reach for the scissors while explaining to Hannah that they have already experienced this moment before. Hannah dismisses Renton's claims as madness, but he attempts to convince her by recalling specific details about their captors and predicting her actions. Stealthily making their way out of the workshop, Renton and Hannah move to another section of the room where a furnace is located. Despite Hannah's belief that no one has the power to activate the furnace, Renton explains that the ARQ provides power to the house and instructs her to release cyanide gas into the furnace to neutralize their intruders. However, despite his instructions, Hannah is unable to execute the plan, resulting in their capture by the intruders. With no alternative, Renton reluctantly opens his safe and hands over the scripts the intruders were looking for. As they prepare to depart, Sonny warns the others that Renton could potentially identify them and moves to eliminate him. But Hannah intervenes, revealing her affiliation with the gang who thought of themselves as the Resistance and were called the Block. While the others look for something else to take, Sonny shoots Renton. Upon awakening in his bed, Renton anticipates the unfolding events and submits to the men taking him to the basement without resistance. With prior knowledge of Hannah's involvement, he fakes trust in her and leads her to the furnace room, where he proceeds to electrocute her. As he lays her on the ground, he reveals that Taurus labeled him a fraud when he claimed that the ARQ was capable of generating limitless energy. Later, Taurus realized he was right and was attempting to take the machine back. Renton also tells her that he was aware of everything about her, including her codename, Mother. Expressing his disappointment, he admits to not recognizing her anymore. In response, Hannah reveals the scars inflicted by Taurus during her torture when they were captured and he got away, recounting the psychological torment she endured at their hands. When realizes his plan to gas them, Hannah decides to make a deal with Renton, and he agrees to give her only half his scripts. Threatening them with the cyanide gas, Hannah and Renton tie the men up, telling them of the plan. Halfway through executing their plan, Renton changes his mind to try and get Hannah to go with him by telling her that he is going to keep all the scripts. During the struggle, Hannah accidentally shoots him. Renton and Hannah wake up in bed once more, both of them now able to remember the previous events. Hannah struggled to wrap her head around what was going on, and the two allowed themselves to get caught. Once they're left alone, Renton unties them and explains everything that is happening. Speculating that she must have been shot by Sonny, Renton asks Hannah if she is in love with Father, the man she is now dating. dating. Avoiding directly answering the question, she tells him that father was the one who helped her survive. Renton begs her to come with him, but she explains her dedication to her cause, asking him to come to the block with her instead. When he refuses, Hannah begs him to trust her and devises a plan. Tying him up again, she calls in the others and tells them she has found out where the scripts are. After taking the scripts, she orders the others to take the ARQ with them. While apologizing for what she has to do, Sunny shoots her and father while brother escapes. Sunny then reveals that he was a Taurus agent sent to retrieve the ARQ. Renton, upset by Hannah's death, tries to fight to escape, but is murdered by Sunny. Upon waking up, Hannah begins to believe Renton's account of Sunny. Playing along with the unfolding events, she and Renton strategize to confront Sunny. Despite his lack of trust in her, Renton reluctantly agrees to let Hannah inform father about the situation. Pretending like Renton had gauged her and escaped, Hannah calls out to the guys and orders Sunny and brother to go look for him. When she and father are left alone, Hannah confides in her boyfriend, telling him that they need to kill Sunny because he is a Taurus agent. While searching for Renton, Sunny incapacitates brother by hitting him over the head, then returns to the basement. When she sees Sunny, Hannah tries to warn the skeptical father not to trust him, but Sunny shoots him first. While holding Hannah at gunpoint, the Taurus agent is tackled and electrocuted by Renton, who sneaks up behind him. Thinking it's over, Renton tries to stop the time loop, but is shot by brother. Hannah and Renton wake up in bed yet again, and are upset that they're back at square one. Thinking of an alternative, Renton tries to break the window despite Hannah's warning that they didn't have an air mask when they suddenly hear gunshots coming from downstairs. As they cautiously approach the workshop, they discover father and brother lying lifeless on the floor, leading Renton to conclude that Sunny has remembered the time loop. After taking a moment to contemplate and inspect the ARQ, Renton realizes that it wasn't producing boundless energy, but rather utilizing the gasoline from the cells, with the time loop serving as a method to recycle the power. Hannah recommends that they seize the opportunity to leave and make their way to the block. She emphasizes that the resistance can regroup and alter the outcome, even if they suffer a defeat against Taurus. When he adamantly refuses to hand over the ARQ, Hannah expresses her frustration, stating that he is as selfish as ever. Ignoring what she is saying, Renton tells her that he doesn't trust the block and begs her not to let Sunny have it, as he would give it to Taurus, allowing them to power their weapons. Renton then continues to give her a code word she can use to activate the ARQ self-destruct. Coming to an agreement, Hannah and Renton wear a gas mask in hopes of analyzing Sunny with the cyanide gas. While searching upstairs, he finds a body slumped inside one of the closets and checks, surprised to find cousins slumped inside. Realizing that Sunny has managed to trick them, he rushes back to the workshop and finds the agent holding Hannah at gunpoint. Instructing him to enter cautiously and deploy the cyanide gas, Sunny calls for backup on his radio, declaring that he has the ARQ situation under control. Hannah attempts to persuade Sunny by informing him that Taurus intended to use the machine to harm more people, but the agent appears indifferent, telling her that the war will only conclude when one side wins. Sunny then begins to force Renton to disarm the ARQ, but he grabs the agent instead and electrocutes himself. Appearing in the recurring time loop, Renton leaps out of bed and prepares to confront anyone who might enter through the door. When nobody does, they cautiously proceed to the workshop and discover that Sunny has successfully rescued their cousin, who is unveiled as the agent's partner. They then hear Sunny once more, shooting brother and father. Understanding that they couldn't rescue their friends, Renton and Hannah released cyanide gas into the area. As they return to the workshop wearing their masks, Hannah glances at the time and notices that the ARQ is accelerating, causing time to pass more quickly. Meanwhile, inside the locked room, Sunny becomes aware that they are being poisoned, and, in an attempt to trigger his memory in the next loop, kills cousin and then shoots himself. As Renton attempts to deactivate the ARQ, Hannah falls into Sunny's trap and perishes from electrocution. In a bid to rescue her, Renton permits the next loop to unfold. When brother and father burst through the door, Hannah intervenes and reveals that Sunny is an agent of Taurus who has repeatedly caused their deaths. Father admits that he recalled the events but dismissed them as mere déjà vu. The group attempts to approach Sunny and cousin stealthily, but ends up getting captured in the process. Sunny uses Hannah as bait to persuade Renton to divulge the code to deactivate the ARQ security. Subsequently, Renton informs Sunny that they must manually shut down the machine, but instead triggers a blackout. Father and brother are killed during the stand, but Renton and Hannah escape outside into the poisonous air. Sharing an air mask, they notice a boundary around the house and realize it must be the area where the time loop ends. Renton informs Hannah about a hidden safe house a few blocks away and explains that he must go back to prevent Sunny from handing over the machine to Taurus. Despite her warning that he would die permanently if Sunny succeeds in killing him while the ARC is off, Renton remains resolute in his decision. Refusing to abandon him, the two return to the house and take cover upon hearing cousin's voice singing the familiar tune that had played repeatedly during Hannah's captivity. Filled with rage, she emerges from their hiding spot and sets the man on fire. As they make their way to the workshop, Renton and Sonny engage in a violent struggle, resulting in the agent's gruesome demise as Renton forces his face into the winding machine. While trying to fully deactivate the ARQ, Renton discovers that the loops reset every 9 rounds, wiping out all of their memories. He also learns that they had been reliving the same day thousands of times, or perhaps even more. Hannah and Renton realize that the last video of themselves, which they couldn't recall, was a message explaining the situation. As Taurus robots pound on the door, Renton chooses to let the loop reset and leave another message detailing the events, but he is killed before he can complete the video. After the loop resets, Hannah is seen waking up with a gasp in Renton's bed.